Mic check. No, my name's not Mike. But we're going to be checking a few subjects today. You're back again with Jason. In a Sunday, which could be an ego day, in which case, watch out. So maybe you want to speed this up, maybe you just want to avoid it altogether. We're going to raise some subjects today that are broader than the people that might be discussing them in from a potential knowledge base. And this would have something to do with whether we are experiencing false prophets or reluctant messiahs. And you get to take your pick as to which one you decide is your flavor. And what I do find is that those that can't do teach, and those that have just apparently become awoke since 2020, being forced to change a perspective while they're still maybe watching footy, drinking fluoride, eating fast food, and essentially not ascending in any of their characteristics, but voicing it in their linguistics. So the challenge today is going to be to determine as to whether or not the people in front of us are legitimate, authentic, and therefore possibly a facet of sharing knowledge from a place of experience, as opposed to what I do find in these platforms of the regurgitation of other people's knowledge or experience and claiming it as their own. So, if that is at all down your line of understanding, then by all means stick around, because we've got quite a eventful, free-flowing experience for you. If that seems challenging to you, then that's just saying it all, in which case this is not the channel for you. And I'm okay with that, and I hope that you are too, because the depths in which we discuss things come from truth first. And the truth is the most brutal thing on the planet. And the truth that is going to be explored and exposed in times to come, months to come, astrological alignments to come, are always going to be the challenge. So, if we get that out of our system, we can continue. For those that are still here, welcome and good on you. The challenge is real, and only the capacity to stand in the face of adversity and explore oneself in the truth of the understanding that we have explored, that we know nothing, that we are nothing, but that we have so much to offer because of that acceptance alone, is key. It's a key facet of where we explore ourselves in, from, and within, without. So today I want to go back into a philosophy of mine that has been something that I read from a Richard Bach novel decades ago while traveling the world in the 90s on a push bike, studying cultures, climates, shaman, medicine men, natural plants, Buddhism, Taoism, Zen, as a permaculturalist, sharing my knowledge in a very many number of places of the world, realms of experience, exploring life. To do that, my studio burnt down, my life burnt down. So I was the phoenix out of the fire. I've explored, I've experienced the extremes. Just prior to that, I won a car. So I've had luck, I've had loss. It takes the full spectrum of experience to be able to have something to share. Otherwise, we're simply regurgitating what other people have said on a platform like this, in which case we are not of our truth. We are wanting other people to follow us because we don't have anything else to offer at the moment. Like the astrologers that are forecasting what other people have forecast. So, for instance, if you're listening to astrologers forecasting for, say, the month of February at the very end of January, forget about it. Okay? They've only just listened to a whole bunch of astrologers that have forecast the February well before, like at the beginning of January, or at the end of December, or in the middle of January. For us that have forecast 2023 in the middle of 2022, you listen to us, as opposed to those that have forecast 2023 at the beginning of 2023. Because ultimately they're not seeing for themselves. They're taking notes from other people's experiences. So you get my drift. There are those that speak, and then there are those that live. It's a little bit like the idea of those that live sustainably. Those that live the path of the bards, the ovates, and the druids. Those of us that are musicians, sound engineers, frequency generators, and sound healers. Those of us that are medicine men that have studied through lifetimes of plants, of ancient medicine techniques, Chinese medicine, Taoist medicine, Ayurvedic medicines. Those of us that have put it into practice with ourselves, with our families, with our children. Those of us that have chosen that as a lifestyle, to have organic food, to have clean, defluoridated water. For those of us that have explored the nature of immunity rather than inoculation. You get my drift. There are many that are on the bandwagon that just jumped on the wagon that was already moving. And there are many that have avoided what has led them to that path until they were forced to. And then there are some that have walked it throughout their lives. And the some that have walked it throughout their lives, I have come to term as the reluctant messiahs. We don't want to lead, but we are leaders. We don't want to be in control, but we should be given the authority. Those that want to lead shouldn't be the ones that we're following. Those that want the control shouldn't be the ones given control. And if this is making sense for you and resonating with you, then by all means, communicate that in whatever way you can. Share it, engage people in it. Because we're coming to a point, as you'll witness if you want to go back and recognize any of the content that I've put on this short time, as I've actually been off social media now for at least a year, but off the platforms of expressing what is occurring in the future, what we have to be aware of in the future, which was me on radio shows, since I was getting arrested repeatedly on radio shows for discussing topics. Kind of realizing that, for my own children's sake, my own future's sake, that, I wasn't going to be much use in a prison system. Although I've got a very strong Piscean rising moon in the first house, obviously, rising. But opportunity to explore the future, I had to step back, because at the times when I was being more messiah, everyone was still asleep. Everyone was still so happy to have their cake and eat it too. Fast food down the road, fluoridated water on tap, power at the flick of a switch. simple wasn't what people were looking for. Debt was. Accruing things was. So consciously, society wasn't ready. And now society has sort of found themselves to be ready. A lot of these false prophets are coming out of the woodwork. Plagiarists. Not the ones to follow. Superficial in nature. How do they look? What do they look like? I mean, I've just woken up and gone straight into meditation, and you get me like this. I haven't done my hair. I've just spent an hour going through my daily practices, and with the Schumann resonance of 7.8 hertz in the background, as I do every day. That is after I have cuddles with my puppy, who's almost as big as I am. And when you're the Viking warlord, that's no small dog. Okay, so you wouldn't expect me to have a little chihuahua, because that also just doesn't resonate with a reluctant Messiah. But we want to explore what we're following in the world that we are witnessing and that we are following. We want to attest to the validity of the experience that somebody had as they now profess to have God speak through them and have an understanding of the Akashic records and an understanding of biblical philosophy and prophecy and an understanding of the Schumann resonance and an understanding of the political will and an understanding of the economic intention and an understanding of the astrological alignments and an understanding of hearsay. Yeah. Okay. Let's work on hearsay. There are many that have got the superficial nature going on. They've got the hair, they've got the singing bowls. We're going to center ourselves together. It's heart medicine, which it is, but it's not lived, or is it lived? Are we false prophets, or are we reluctant messiahs? Do we experience ourselves from the experiences that we've lived? Or did we come out of some cushy job because we were forced out of it and we had to go into isolation? And we spend too much time on YouTube trying to figure out what am I going to do? And then the fallacy within, which is essentially the erection, the big hard-on that's trying to get some attention. The fallacy within has decided that they're going to now explore the esoteric. No, it's not that. The hard way is the way. The experience is what leads us. And those that choose the experience are still on the experience. They're like me. They're mobile. They're living in a bus. They're not trying to have gone, I'm now taking my YouTube credits and I'm going to go and move to the Sunshine State and I'm going to live in a house that I shouldn't look like I can afford, because I am not of the earth. I am not of the current, the telluric current, the solar current, or the lunar current. I am not practicing anything at all. I don't practice in my body. I don't practice the experience. I practice ripping people off on a social media platform to be able to turn around and regurgitate it to pretend that I am connected to a higher source, that I know what is coming in relation to raising vibration. No, that's not it. So the brutal truth is the platform that I've always been. I am the Mars at 0 degree Aries. Okay, and if you know that from a tarot position, that is the Emperor. beyond the kings. I am the Viking warrior that has every capacity to tear strips off everyone and anything, to laugh in the face of adversity as I always have, to explore that repeatedly because the hard way is the way, to come to understandings that I can heal myself with my mind, with my touch, that I heal with my touch, that I have learnt through the exploration of what I have put myself through to know that I can heal myself. Therefore, I can heal anything else. The reluctant Messiah. And I raise that vibration to anyone that explores however they feel that they might have something to offer from a superficial and plagiaristic perspective. We are not here today in this transition of the zodiac of cycles, 25,800 year cycle of life. We are not here today to progress from one dimension of the third nation to the fifth dimension of the higher state of being. We are not all coming through. We are not coming into the transition, and this is going to burn all of those false prophets out there as Saturn comes into Pisces. Look out, all you false leaders. The time has come for Saturn to come down on you, to come down on us all. But how well have you trained yourself to stare in the face of adversity and remain authentic? This is the question that we all need to ask ourselves. The superficial will become as shallow as they are in the graves that are laid for them. I am not here to make friends. I am not here to get likes or followers, so you know. I am here to explore in you the deeper, darker elements of what this world is to teach us. What we are to become in the experience of existing in this world. Whether it's a school for us to come and learn. Do you understand your nodes? Do you know where your karma is? Do you know the karma of Saturn in the house and the zodiac that it's in your charts? Do you understand the transitions that occur in relation? Do you understand what's going to happen when Saturn and Neptune conjunct at 0 degree Aries in 2 years' time? Do you understand the cycle of lives, of the sun, of our poles, of this earth? Most don't, and most won't reference this in the nature of fear over how they're going to cope with the copious amounts of debt they've created for themselves and the joblessness and the financial insecurity that is occurring. But you didn't know this was coming because we didn't really know what money was. We just followed what we were told. And yes, we did follow what we were told, but we also allowed ourselves to follow what we were told. And no, it's not our fault, but it also is our fault. Because if we're not going to take accountability and we're not going to pass blame onto ourselves, we're going to look at passing it on to something else. And that's not really the outcome of a spiritual condition to get us to the fifth dimension. So there is a challenge ahead. Now we can accept this challenge, but we're not going to do it by following false prophets. No, that's not the place. We're not going to follow it from those that cannot just flow in their knowledge of their information, that don't have a strong Mercury or a strong Gemini or a strong experience within this world, or a strong knowledge from experience, or a strong knowledge from understanding and exploring and a thirst for knowledge. We're not going to get it from those people. And I'm not here to tell you about it. I'm just here to tell you where you're not going to find it. And I don't want you to follow me to find it. I want you to follow yourself, because you've lived your life and you've got your karma to undo and you've got your fallacy to unravel, to deflate. You've got your superficiality of tattoos, or the way you look, or how you project yourself to other people, or your astrology. So we're going to look. You want to take a look at a false prophet? Ask them for their astrology. Ask them for their astrology. You want to know mine? Okay, born 0 degrees Cancer, 50 minutes. Moree, New South Wales, Australia, 1973. Look that up. I dare you. Because the Tao that has guided me from a life of being a global traveller since 3 months old and educated in what would cost you $100,000 a year to send your children to today, to travelling the world by push bike during the 90s and just not being superficial on social media, other than the exploration of information to share amongst those that really were asleep and thought that they didn't want to know because they wanted to be told the vision, instead of looking through what you might see as depths of shamanic principles and ancient knowledge as the way of living, as the way of practicing. Who now lives in a bus and travels to help people build off-grid sustainability, because that's what he does and knows, after being so many other things in a little recording studio down there to produce the kind of vibrations that have always healed and changed festival culture for decades. Or the turntables set up to create vibrations to escalate and elevate people's experience. It's all there. It's all there. It's lived. It's what the reluctant messiahs do. We live it. We're not the false prophets. But the false prophets are plentiful in today's age. All you need is a microphone faced in the wrong fucking direction, because they got no idea about sound. No, they're not bards either. And they're not ovates, because they don't, if you think a fucking singing bowl is going to heal you, I'm sorry. If you think a singing bowl is going to heal you, your healing required is far greater than a singing bowl can do any damage or justice in relation to what needs to occur. As truth, it's brutal. I'm sorry. I don't care what you think. I'm not here for your likes. I am here for the future generations. My participation on this planet to share future knowledge to those that couldn't stomach it, weren't interested in organic food or permacultural designs or self-sufficiency 25 years ago, when I came back ready to share a decade's worth of knowledge that I'd acquired through my own practices, to realize that no, nobody was really interested in that. It was all like, I'll take my 3 days worth of stupid market supply chain, thanks. And I'll take my enslavement of debt, and I'll take my alcohol abuse and substance abuse, and I'll take all of the things that are going to provide me with short-term satisfaction. I'll take that. I don't want to know about sacred geometry. I don't want to know about the occult. I don't want to know about a higher self. I don't want to know about meditation until I'm going to become a meditation guru after the age of 40 or something, or 45. False prophet. If you waited until 2020 to wake up, you're a false prophet. If you're interviewing these false prophets, you're a false prophet. And you're going to be hating this right now. And that's good. It's getting some energy in you. If this is making you just want to turn off right now, do it. Because you're not strong enough to stare in the face of adversity that's coming for you. And you will suffer the consequences. I don't want you to. I'm here to open your mind. I am here to rip out your fucking heart and show it to you. As black, sodden as it is, as egotistical as it's focused, as superficial as you are. But if you are here having a laugh at this, chuckling in the face of adversity, you're primed and ready, and I take my hat off to you. You are my kin, and I show you a level of respect that I will give within these discussions that I bring to this platform. So don't excuse me or yourselves, but understand that there are no excuses for those that follow the outcomes of fallacy. You just fucking Viagra when you actually need Viagra eyedrops, which is what I have been for society for decades. The drops that allow you to take a long, hard look at yourself and determine, am I authentic? Am I of a nature that can proceed in the authenticity of what humanity is going to require, not to fall for the same fallacy that has brought us down in vibration in our global lifestyle situations, where we are entirely indebted to the servitude of false economies, short-term satisfaction from retail therapies. Do you see the poetic nature? The bard. I'm not even going to get into the ovate right now, but I'll do that with my fingertips. I'll heal you with my words. I'll send you a vibration to fix your shit up. And if you want to know more, leave a comment below. But I'm not here to tell you anything. You do that for yourself. I'm here to ask you to raise questions. Question everything. Especially the fallacies that are here trying to tell you what they don't know about certain things that they can't explain, but they're going to spit rhetoric at you without having the ability to have any flow in tying the whole package together, or any opportunity to have actually predicted all of this in the first place. So, false prophet or reluctant messiah? You get to choose. The reluctant messiahs are just carrying on with our lives. We're just doing our thing. We know what's coming. We're ready for it. And we are the apocalyptimists of what's to come. So, let's see how you feel after hearing that. I hope it's been an enlightening experience. After all, enlightenment is not chasing the light. It's letting go of the shit that's been holding you back. Until next time, we're over. Boom.